are talking about water today.
Yes.
All right, we got a lot of people still coming in, so we're not going to get started yet.
Water. Sorry. Oh, have you guys heard about zodiac signs?
Yeah, zodiac sign, yes, of course. Where your
I'm a
birthday?
Sagittarius. I'm
Nice.
Sagittarius. My sister's and
I'm a Leo.
Okay, I think we have some new people. Hey, oh my God, Gloriana, your video's on. How you doing? I haven't seen you in forever. You dyed your hair.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. You dyed your hair, what is that, green or blue?
Oh, it's green. Well, it was supposed to be teal, but it kind of like turned green.
It looks great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How was your New Year? Was it awesome?
Yeah, it was great. I actually, so I live in Alaska, so I went to New York and I visited my parents for New Year's. So I
Oh,
got to
that's
go home for a
nice.
little while. Yeah, how was yours?
It was really good. I went bowling. It was really fun.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, hi everybody. I think we still have a few people coming in, but we will get started in just a few minutes. In the meantime, is there anybody that's new that hasn't been here before? If you're new, let me know in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and tell me. Either way. I feel like there's at least one person I haven't seen before. Where'd she go? Maybe she popped off. Okay. Oh yeah, I have my friend Alana is here with me today. This is Alana over here. I can't point to her, but if you look at your screen, it's the person that's my age. That's Alana, and she's going to be doing some of these talks in the future. So she'll be hanging out with you guys in the future, doing some awesome talks about nature. But today we are going to focus on a really cool subject, and we're going to actually talk about water in New York. So 1 second, I'm going to get this all ready. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about water in New York and how water gets from other places in New York all the way to your sink. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about that before, but you know, it takes a lot of water to make sure everybody in New York City has water. So let's check it out. But first, let's do a check-in. Let's see how everybody's feeling today. So if you are feeling really happy, maybe you're number one. If you're feeling super, super happy, maybe 5 or 6, you could write it in the chat. Or if you prefer, you can also circle it. If you press annotate on your screen, you can circle it and you can draw on the screen. So either one works.
It doesn't say annotate.
Simling, you're feeling all of them? Angry, happy, in love. Who's number 4? Anybody number 4 in love? Okay, good. We got a lot of happy going on. How are you guys feeling after Christmas break? Are you refreshed? Are you ready to go? Are you good? I'm feeling a little bit like I could have used maybe, I don't know, another week, maybe 2 more weeks of Christmas break. That would have been nice, but back to work, I guess. Okay, let's see. Leah said 5, Jada Lee said 5, Emmanuel said number 7. Okay, cool.
How do you unmute?
Ooh, somebody's number 12. That is not good. Alvaro, you're number 12. You're really angry. Like, hope we can change that today. Hopefully it doesn't stay like that. Okay, and then Araceli is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9. Wow, you've got a lot of feelings going on, girl. Okay, I'm gonna clear the screen.
Why am I angry?
Okay. All right, guys. So before we get started, I know we have a lot of people. We have a lot of people on today, and I'm already noticing a problem. And I'm not going to call anybody out, but we have some respect guidelines that we have to go over, right? Before we get started, Yulia, I'm not going to keep muting you. I'm just going to mute everybody, and that's going to be annoying. So don't talk when I'm talking, okay? So if we have a question,
I see.
all right, I'm going to mute everybody. 1 second. Oh man, I'm forgetting how to do this because it's been a little while. 1 second, everyone. Okay. Okay. So we're going to use the chat to answer questions. So if you know the answer to one of my questions, use the chat. Or if you really want to talk, if you have something super important to say, information that we would never know if you didn't tell us, I will unmute you. Just raise your hand to be unmuted and I will unmute you. But we're not going to take advantage of that privilege, right? And make sure you vote in the polls. So when I put up something to vote in, make sure you're voting. And when you want to draw, make sure you're doing that too. And I love having your cameras on. Lots of people have their camera on today. That makes me super happy because I don't just like looking at the black screen. I like it better when I can see you guys and I can see your faces and see if you're enjoying something or not liking something so much. So thank you for having your camera on, guys. All right, so today we are going to talk about the water cycle and how water gets from all different places into your sink and your shower and your pot of spaghetti and all of those different things. So we have this water cycle and there's different things that happen to kind of, it's a renewable resource. So the water keeps cycling through and through again and again. It's not like new water is added, it's the same water. So the water that goes down your drain after you take a shower, that goes back into the system. It goes back up into the clouds eventually. It comes back down as rain and it starts all over again and again and again. So does anybody know what the other three big question marks here are? We have precipitation, that's the rainfall, that's when stuff is falling from the sky, snow, rain, hail, sleet, any of those. What do you think is up here or over here or down here? Does anybody know any of the other parts of the water cycle? You probably learned about this in school. You can write it in the chat if you know the answer. See if anybody does. Or if you'd like, we can have you guys unmute if you need to. Okay, if you want to unmute and tell me if you know an answer, let me know. Gloriana forgot, no big deal. Okay, who's got a guess? Yulia, you got a guess? Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So, so you wanted to know how the water cycle works?
I want to know one of these words. So besides precipitation, what else is part of the water cycle? So one more word from you. One guess. Quick, quick, quick. What's your one word?
Evaporation.
Evaporation. Awesome. All right. I saw Calvin's hand next. Go ahead, Calvin. What do you got? Nope. All right. Who's got another one? Anybody besides evaporation? Okay. Let's see what the answers are. Okay. Let's see. The answers are, woo, we got two. Very good. We had precipitation. Evaporation's over here. There's condensation and collection. And that's okay. We're not going to ask any more questions for right now. So you can put your hand down for right now. Thank you for getting one of the answers. You did a good job. So precipitation is when it falls from the sky and it ends up in lakes and rivers and in sewers and drains and all of that stuff. And then collection is when it's in that big body of water. So that big lake, that big river. Eventually, evaporation takes place. That's when the sun is beating down on that water. And so you know how snow will melt away when it gets warmer? Eventually, that snow will turn to rain or turn to water. And then that water will go up back into the clouds during evaporation. It condensates while it's in the clouds. It groups together into bigger, instead of just tiny little atoms, it groups together into a bigger thing like a cloud. And then it falls back down during evaporation. Yeah, you have a question? Go ahead, Yulia.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm not gonna unmute you anymore. So we're gonna move on.
Sorry, I was just asking my family to turn the volume down because we don't have any.
Okay, yeah, ask your family to turn the volume down. So we've got that water cycle, awesome. Now, where does the drinking water actually come from? So you guys, a lot of you live in New York City, and I know a lot of you live in Yonkers and places like that. Where does this water come from? If you have a guess, raise your hand. Do you think there's enough water in New York City, like just rainfall, to have everybody to be able to take a shower every day, everybody to have enough water to drink? What do you guys think? Let's see. Araceli is raising her hand. Awesome. Let me unmute you. 1 second. Oh, I unmuted you all. Just kidding. No, no, no. Let's see. All right.
From
Araceli,
the ocean.
it's coming from the ocean. That's a great guess. Now, Araceli, let me ask you another question. Does the ocean have fresh water or salt water?
Mm,
When you go in the ocean, does it taste like water from a bottle, or does it taste kind of salty?
salty.
Salty. It tastes kind of salty. Awesome. And do we drink fresh water or salt water, guys? Let's see. Jada Lise, go ahead.
Fresh water.
We drink fresh water. Yeah. So do we think that water is coming from the ocean usually that we're drinking? Let's see if Alvaro has something to say. What do you think, Alvaro?
I think it's from the
Okay. Jada Lise, you have more? Okay, go ahead.
I think it comes from the lake.
It comes from a lake. That's a great guess. So let's see.
Yes, I
what
want to
you
hasta
guys
las
think.
5.
Let's see. I've got a poll here so everybody can vote. If you don't want to speak, that's okay, but you can vote. Does enough rain fall in New York City for everyone to have enough to drink? Now, just to give you an idea, guys, there are 8.4 million people that live in New York City. 8.4 million people. So if everybody was just drinking 1 bottle of water a day, you would need 8.4 million bottles of water to keep all of those people just with 1 bottle of water. And hopefully you drink more than 1 bottle of water a day. And that doesn't even put into account washing dishes or taking a shower or washing your face or washing your car or washing your dog. So do we have enough water that just falls in New York for us to be able to live? Let's see what people think. So most of you think that yes, there's enough water that falls in New York City to support every single person there. I have news for you all. It's not true. It's not true. Not nearly enough water falls in New York City for that to be the case. So what kind of precipitation ends up going into your drinking water? So why don't you guys circle which kinds on here you think end up in your drinking water in New York. So we're not talking about Alaska, we're talking about New York. Remember that. So which kinds of rainfall or snowfall or water from the ground? All right, so use your annotate and circle whichever ones you think are right. Oh, I disabled annotation. Sorry. Here, go ahead. Now you can. My bad, guys. So do we think snow is a good one? Rainfall, water from underground, ocean water, melting glaciers. Which ones are in New York that you're drinking? All right, most people are picking rainfall and water from underground. Good choices. Good, you guys thought about it. So we talked about how ocean water is salty, right? So there is a way actually called desalination where you take out all the salt from the water and you can drink it, but it's a very, very expensive process. So we don't actually really do that in New York. We get our water from somewhere else. We do get it from snowfall that melts, and we do get it from rainfall, but we also get it from underground water. And we do not get it from ocean water or melting glaciers. Neither of those, we don't get it from those things because we don't have any glaciers left in New York. We used to have glaciers in New York a very, very long time ago, but we don't have glaciers in New York anymore. And we don't get it from ocean water, but in some places they do. And some people that live on boats, they actually use the desalination process to take the salt out of the water. And that's the water they drink if they live on a boat most of the time. But we're mostly getting it from these 3 sources. So I'm going to clear everybody's drawings. There we go. Okay. So our water comes from something called a watershed. Now, if you're picturing like a backyard shed full of water, that's not quite it. A watershed is an area of land that brings all the water into one area, that sheds it, that brings all that water, it drains it into one area. So you can see in this picture that there's rain happening in the hills, there's rain over here, and there's this slope, there's this hill, so that the water will just trickle down the hill and end up in this area here. It ends up in a little creek, and then that goes to a river, and then eventually near places like New York, near cities, that's going to end up at a dam. A dam is an area built to stop water from going somewhere so that more water can build up in one place, so that there is more resources to drink from that water. Every body of water has a watershed, so every single one. So it might be that your street might be a watershed, right? Because your street is funneling into a sewer drain, and so then the water goes down there into the sewer. But every body of water has a watershed, and rainfall and snowfall ends up in there eventually. And then these smaller bodies of water end up in bigger ones eventually. So all the lakes, all the rivers that drain, they drain into larger bodies of water like oceans. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna watch a little video. Please let me know if you cannot hear it, okay? Let me know if you cannot hear it.
What is a watershed? Is it a shed that holds water? No. Try again. A watershed is all of the land that drains into the same location or body of water. People tend to think only of water bodies such as rivers, lakes, and wetlands as being part of their watershed. However, any land, whether it is park, farm, forest, school parking lot, and even the soil we build our homes on is also included. Think of a watershed as a funnel.
What about no?
With the area draining into the nearest body of water. Drop by drop, water is channeled into soil, groundwater, making its way to larger rivers and eventually the ocean. Everyone in the world lives in a watershed. Watersheds know no political borders, whether local, national, or international. Our environment, our economy, and our society all depend on a healthy watershed.
All right. Okay, so that kind of repeated a lot of what I said, but in an Australian accent, so even better than me saying it, honestly. And I see that Calvin and Ilya, you have your hands up. I'm going to ask you to wait until the end of the class, okay? So we can talk at the end for as long as you want, but not right now. Okay. Oh, why is it playing again? No. Okay. So where is your watershed? So we know that we have a watershed in New York. Where is that thing? There are 8.4 million people living here. Where are they getting all of that water? There isn't nearly enough water for them, like we talked about earlier. So does anybody have a hypothesis, an educated guess where this water is coming from? Oh, Yelia, you couldn't hear? Oh, I didn't see that. You can't hear me now? I don't know, it must be your computer because I think everybody else can hear. Okay, so what is your hypothesis? Let's see, Alex, go ahead. Let's see, let me try to get you to unmute 1 second. There you go. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, it's hard because I know there's like 4 of you in the same room on the video. So why don't you type in the chat, because we always have echo from your family because you all have the 4 computers in one room, right? Okay, he's gonna write it in the chat. Does anybody else have a guess where we're getting our water from? Where's our watershed in New York City? It's totally fine that none of you know, because I gotta tell you, I didn't know until a few years ago. So before we get to that, I'm gonna ask you some jokes. Oh, somebody has a guess. Yeah, Eric. Oh, hey, Eric.
5 to 5 to 5.
What do you think it is, Eric? Oh, he's gone. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm. Now,
All right,
what
I'm
is
gonna
your sign? No.
think, Eric. Why don't you think about it, okay? I'm glad to see you here. Okay, Yelia, you can take a guess. Go ahead.
That I was trying to tell you that I could hear you, just not the video, because
Oh,
you
you can
asked
hear
me
me.
earlier. I can hear
Okay.
you,
Okay.
just not the video.
Thanks for letting me know. I'll try to make it louder next time. Okay. All right. So, water, some ideas of where the watersheds get their water. We know those. How much water do you think New York City's reservoirs hold? Well, let's check out where these watersheds are. So here is a map of all the different places that New York gets its water from. The really big one, the very first one we got our water from, is over here in the Croton watershed. So most of our water comes from two different places, the Catskill and the Delaware watershed. And the water travels over 80 miles to New York in something called an aqueduct. And if you've heard in history class the word aqueduct before, this is an ancient invention from Rome. That word aqueduct is a Latin word. It comes from Latin words. And an aqueduct is a way to get water from one place to another place. It might be through something elevated, like when you see a train go above ground, or it might be something underground, like a big tunnel. And New York's has both. They have up above ground stuff and below ground stuff. And I'll show you pictures in a second. But it travels 80 miles to get from where it falls, to get from where the rainfall happens, to get to New York City. And that water, that one droplet of water that comes down, might land up here, and then it will take 12 weeks to a year to get all the way down to New York City. That's how long it takes. So it falls, and it could take a year for that droplet of water to get to your house. So let's do a little maze. Let's pretend that we're the water droplet. Use your annotation and find the way from the Croton Aqueduct over here. Oops, sorry guys. From the Croton Aqueduct over here all the way to New York City. Can you do the maze? Let's see if you can handle it. Get your droplet of water all the way over there. I'll try to keep clearing it so everybody gets to do it again. All right, you people are getting there. Awesome. This is that. Let's see. Very good. Nice job, Araceli. Sweet. And Jackie's got it. Awesome. Good job, guys. I like that most of you are doing it in blue, like a blue water streak all the way down. All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Good job. All right, I'm going to turn off Anna. Oh, somebody's still in the middle of it. I'm sorry. I cut you off. Oh, somebody's doing arrows. Fancy. Let's see. Could you do like a raindrop? Oh, no. Okay. So I'm going to turn that off. Okay. All right. So your water droplets made it to New York. Awesome. It didn't take you a whole year. You got there pretty quickly, much faster than real water would. Here is a picture of one of our aqueducts. So all the water from all the rivers and channels and creeks ends up in this big lake, which we made even bigger by putting a dam here. This is a dam. So this is a man-made dam, something put in to make sure that more and more water builds up in one place. So Yelia, I'm gonna wait till the end to call on you. So you can keep your hand up, but it's gonna wait until the end, okay? So this dam is put here so that more water ends up in one spot. And this is super important, especially in places like Los Angeles, where there's a ton of heat and the water evaporates quickly. If you have more water in one place, so if you have like a really big pool of water, and then you have a really small puddle of water, the puddle of water is going to evaporate first, right? Before the big pool. So if you have a lot more water in one place, it evaporates slower. So that's one reason we have the dams. And I love this picture because it's so beautiful. This is another one of our aqueducts, one of our reservoirs where the water builds up from the watershed, coming down through these hills, coming down from here, coming down from here, right? So all the water's funneling into this one big place, and then the water goes through the aqueduct. So this is the above ground aqueduct. This is an old version in the Bronx. The water would actually travel through here, and then there's a bridge for people to walk over above it. And then this is a current aqueduct we have in Manhattan as well. So you may have seen this waterfall before as you were traveling to Manhattan. And then another way that we get our water is through huge tunnels underneath the ground. Look at the size of this person compared to this tunnel. We have two right now, another one almost done, 3 huge underground aqueduct tunnels that bring all of the water from all these places upstate all the way down to New York City. Imagine being in a tunnel like this. It's ginormous. And in the past, way back when New York City first started, a long time ago, they built these tunnels out of wood. And those tunnels still exist today. And I've been in one actually. And it's really cool because they're abandoned now. And they just have a little bit of water at the bottom, but they're really just this big, old, really cool wooden tunnel. And some animals live down there like bats. Bats inhabit a lot of these caves now once they're not used anymore for water travel. And so you get to see lots of little bats in them. It was very, very cool, very spooky too. But this is our current tunnel that is under construction and is supposed to finish this year. So soon water is going to be traveling through this big tunnel. They've been working on it for a very long time, I think since the 70s. So like 50 years of working on this tunnel to be done, all to get water to your houses. So here's some fun facts about water in New York City. The city gets 1.1 billion gallons of water a day pumped in. Remember, the population of New York is 8.4 million people. So there's 1.1 billion gallons of water coming in for those 8.4 million people. So you get a lot of water per person, not just one little tiny water bottle like we were talking earlier. The reservoir, right, the big thing of water I showed you earlier is so big that to make sure it doesn't have any leaks, they use a submarine. They actually, let's go back to that picture. They go in a submarine to make sure there's no leaks in the reservoir, to make sure none of the water gets out. And then how many of you live in an apartment building? Let's get our next poll going. So what kind of place do you live in? And you don't have to answer if you're not comfortable, but do you live in a house? Do you live in an apartment building below the 6th floor? So that's living on floor 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Do you live in an apartment building above the 6th floor on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc.? Do you live somewhere else, or do you live, I'd rather not say. It's okay if you'd rather not say. No one lives above the 6th floor? Darn it. Needed somebody to say yes to this question. So if you live below the 6th floor, all of your water ends up in your house just by gravity. So gravity brings it all the way down because it's on a slight slope coming from the reservoir, goes right into your house, and it's all gravity that is used to get it, and pressure, the amount of pressure of the water behind it to get it into your sinks and your bathtubs and all of that. But if you live above the 6th floor, you need extra pumps to get the water into your house. So if you live super high in one of those high buildings, that water needs some extra help to get up there. All right, so we talked about a lot of water, probably just so much your head is swimming. So now we're going to talk about how important it is that even though there's water all around us, the ocean is right there, it's still, oh, I have 2 people in the waiting room, 1 second, there we go. It's still important to make sure you're not using too much water, because even though it's a renewable resource, it takes power to clean that water. Every time you go to drink water, it takes power to clean that water, to take your wastewater, your sewage, right? So when you flush the toilet, that's going back into the water system, back into the water cycle. Every time we have to clean that water, take all of the waste out of it, that takes a lot of power and energy. So it's really important to be environmentally friendly. And let's see. Oh, Emma into the room. Emma's not in the waiting room. Whoever just messaged me that. WW. I let Emma in. If Emma was in the waiting room, she's in now. And Gloriana, your building doesn't have a water tower on top of it. Yeah, and the water towers that you see on top of some of the apartment buildings, usually that's just for like for fires and things like that. I don't think that's for actually drinking it. Usually it's connected to, your building is connected to the main water in New York City. And let's see, Lucas or Julia, nobody else is in the waiting room, WW. I'm not sure who WW is, but nobody else is in the waiting room. I let everybody in. So they're not waiting right now. Yeah. Okay. So water conservation. Conservation is preventing the wasteful use of something. So that's using something and just using too much of it, taking more than you need. We've talked about this a few times in different talks, but it's important to just take what you need, not to take too much. So 40 different states out of the 50 states in the country, 40 states are predicting that they're going to need more water by 2024. So that means most of the states in the country think that they're going to run out of water in the next 3 years. They're going to have to figure out some kind of other solution for that, right? Another way to get more water. So how can we conserve water? How can we make sure we're not using too much? We can turn off the water when we're not using it. Like when you're brushing your teeth, while you're brushing your teeth, you could turn off the water. And then once you need to rinse, you can turn it back on. You can take showers instead of long, luxurious baths. And you can take short showers, not really long ones. You take nice short showers. And only do full loads of laundry, right? Don't do a load of laundry for just one sock. Don't do it. If you have your favorite shirt, maybe wait till you have a few more shirts to put in the laundry because you don't want to waste that water. So how many of you drink water from your sink versus how many of you drink water from a bottle? I'm this is my question that I want to know the most about. So how many of you drink water from your sink? How many of you drink water from a bottle? I'll let you guys unmute and you can tell me. So let's see. Okay, if you want to unmute and tell me, you can unmute and tell me. Just raise your hand and I will listen. Gloriana only drinks bottled water. And if you have a reason, let me know. I want to know if there's a reason. Okay, Alex, go ahead. You're first. Alex Medina, go for it. Nice hat, by the way.
Hang
on. Your sound is tough because all of you are on different computers in the same room.
So, what happened? So I drink water from the sink.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, awesome. You drink water from the sink. Okay, who else? Okay, how about we do it this way? If you raise your hand, if you drink water from your sink, raise your hand. And you could turn your video on, or you can turn on, you could just use the emoji. Raise your hand if you drink water from your sink. Okay, now keep your hand raised if you drink water from your sink, but you put it through a filter. So maybe there's a filter in your refrigerator, or maybe you put it into a big thing that filters it. How many of you put your water through a filter? Okay, Jada Leafs does. Okay, so a lot of people are just drinking straight up New York City tap water without filtering it. Cool. Okay, now raise your hand if you only drink bottled water in your house. Only drink bottled water from a gallon container. Okay, Gloriana and Emily. All right, cool. Okay, Jackie. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing, guys. And let's see. Okay, so now my next question is, how many water bottles, soda bottles, or milk jugs, so all plastic things, does your family use a week? Let's see if you guys can think about it for a minute and do it for your whole family, right? So how many soda bottles do you think you're drinking a week? How many milk jugs? And how many water bottles? And Gloriana is saying she drinks bottled water because risk of contamination such as lead. Lead, interesting. So Gloriana, where do you live, if you don't mind me asking? Are you in Yonkers or you're in the Bronx? You're in the Bronx? Yeah, it's hard to know because everybody's in different places. You're in Yonkers. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure about how Yonkers water works, but I do know that New York City water is very, very good quality and super, super filtered and very good quality at this point. But I don't know anything about lead in Yonkers, and it also might be in your own house, like in your pipes, your own pipes. You know where that lead could be coming. There is no lead. I'm just paranoid. Okay, that's fair. Well, one thing you could do is you could do some water testing on your water. You could get a pH strip and find out what the pH is to see if it's too acidic or something like that. Yeah, that's good to know. Okay, let's see what everybody voted for. How many bottles do you use a week? So it is pretty much a breakdown, pretty even breakdown. We have 35% of people saying just 0 to 2. And then we have all the way on the other side, more than 10 for some people. And it also depends how big your family is and what kind of things you like to drink. And maybe your things that you like to drink come out of a carton, like an orange juice carton or something like that. But something to think about when you go to the store or when you ask your parents to go to the store. Think about what kind of containers your stuff is coming in. If it's coming, let's see, what do I have near me? I have my peanut butter, big plastic container, right? What am I going to do with this container when I'm done with this peanut butter? Am I just going to recycle it and then it goes back? Or can I do something else with it first? Or can I get an even bigger thing of peanut butter that I can just have at my house so I don't have to buy as many little things of peanut butter? So maybe one way to do that at your house is to buy a bigger option of something and buy in bulk. Or maybe you can buy a carton of something like a carton of orange juice instead of a plastic bottle of orange juice. And you could skip the plastic in that. And let's see. And Gloriana said you could reuse it to put pen or pencils in. Totally. That is exactly what I've done with a lot of my stuff. This is a glass example, but yeah, you can use it for pens and pencils. So you can reuse it, you can reduce your use, or you can recycle it. So there's a lot of options. And that's what we're going to find out next. So do you guys recycle your plastic bottles? After you use your peanut butter, after you use your soda, what happens in your house to your bottles? Let's see. All right, let's see. Do you recycle? Yes, no, or I don't know, but I'm going to ask my parents later. Okay, most people say they recycle, but only 7 of you voted so far. So let's find out. Some people don't recycle. That's something that you could change in your house, right? You could tell your parents that it's important to you because you want the water quality to be good and you want the animals to live longer because we want to use less plastic so that our world is healthier. All right, most of you voted. I'll give it 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Get in your vote. Get in your vote. 1. Okay. I will share our results. Awesome. So most of you do recycle. That's great to hear. And Gloriana's ferret drinks tap water. So it's good enough for your ferret, but it's not good enough for you, you're saying. Interesting. All right. So let's see. Well, that's great that so many of you recycle. Now, we've got a little video here. Hopefully you can hear it. I'll put it on as loud as I can.
This is the story of 3 plastic bottles, empty and discarded. Their journeys are about to diverge, with outcomes that impact nothing less than the fate of the planet. But they weren't always this way. To understand where these bottles end up, we must first explore their origins. The heroes of our story were conceived in this oil refinery. The plastic in their bodies was formed by chemically bonding oil and gas molecules together to make monomers. In turn, these monomers were bonded into long polymer chains to make plastic in the form of millions of pellets. Those were melted at manufacturing plants and reformed in molds to create the resilient material that makes up the triplets' bodies. Machines filled the bottles with sweet, bubbly liquid, and they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, and unceremoniously discarded. And now here they lie, poised at the edge of the unknown. Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of tons of his plastic brethren, ends up in a landfill. This huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junk, rainwater flows through the waste and absorbs the water-soluble compounds it contains, and some of those are highly toxic. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate, which can move into groundwater, soil, and streams,
poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. It can take bottle 1 an agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. He floats on a trickle that reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. After months lost at sea, he's slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the ocean's currents have trapped millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutants turn the water into a cloudy plastic soup. Some animals, like seabirds, get entangled in the mess. They and others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they're not, so they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. For example, it's eaten by lanternfish. The lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna, and the tuna are eaten by us. And most plastics don't biodegrade, which means they're destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which might rotate in the sea eternally. But Bottle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Okay, this sounds pretty bad too, but hang in there, it gets better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, which are washed and melted so they become the raw materials that can be used again. As if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly, the sky is the limit.
What did you guys think? Was that too heavy? I know that was kind of sad at some point. Does anybody have any thoughts on the video? Yeah, Jada Lise, go ahead.
When the part came where the turtle ate the plastic, I looked away.
When the turtle ate the plastic, you looked away? Yeah,
Well,
I know what you
the turtle
mean.
was super close to the plastic about to eat it, I turned away. And I turned back around, and the turtle was dead.
I'm sure you guys have heard maybe of that. Like a lot of people are saying not to use straws anymore. Plastic straws is a big thing. I know that's a really little thing, a really little piece of plastic that you might use sometimes, but you know, every little bit helps. So if you don't need a straw in your drink, then you don't use it, you know? And if you can use a metal straw or a bamboo straw, which is pretty cool too, you could try that alternative too. Yeah. Ilya, you had something to say? Go ahead.
Okay, so what I was gonna say that the thing that I find that I don't like in the video, how it said that the animals were going to die because of the pollution in the ocean and the lakes. And when I grow up, I plan to stop that. So because some animals in the ocean are very much endangered, like turtles and whales. Also,
Yeah.
actually, the whale shark too. That's top on the list.
Good, great. Thank you for your thoughts. Yeah, and there's no need to wait until you're older to start changing things, right? In fact, as a kid, sometimes you have way more power than you realize because people love hearing important messages from kids. Have you guys, let's see, maybe do a thumbs up for this one. Have you guys heard of Greta Thunberg? She's from Europe. Has anybody heard of her? Let's see, Alana has. Maybe we'll talk about her one week. She's a kid. She's a little bit older than most of you guys, I think. But she's a kid that's working to stop climate change. And she's making a really big impact. So maybe that would be a good topic to talk about one day. Things that you guys can do as kids to make this happen, right? All right, did anybody else have any thoughts on the video that they want to share? All right, we heard from Alex and we heard from Yulia. So we'll wait. Let's see if anybody else has any thoughts because we heard from you guys. Okay, maybe we'll have you guys talk at the end, okay? Once we're done. Okay, let's go back to our slideshow. All right. Oh. Okay, so a little bit more about plastic water bottles. It takes a lot of fossil fuel, a lot of gas and oil to make plastic water bottles. How many barrels of oil do you think were used to make the same amount of plastic and to make the amount of plastic used in 1 year in America? How many barrels of oil? This is kind of a tough one. I'll let you guys guess if you want. It's 17 million barrels. 17 million barrels of oil were used to make all of the plastic that we used in America in 1 year. 17 million. So, and this is how much oil you need to make one water bottle. Look, it's almost half full of oil. So, right, yeah, 17 million barrels to make the amount of water bottles used for the US market. And that's just the water bottles. And that's the same as filling 1 million cars for a year, to give you an idea. So, and also one more benefit of using tap water is that it's much less expensive than bottled water. So that's another reason it might be a good idea to switch to tap water, to water from your sink. That's what tap water is, because it's much cheaper also. Not only is it better for the earth, but usually it's more cost effective. Or if you're not comfortable with drinking water from your sink, you could always buy one of those filters that has like the changeable filter for your sink or for your refrigerator that you can just use and have a filter, an additional filter for your water. All right, I was gonna let you guys do this little activity. It's a little tough, but why don't we design our own water bottle? You can do this on paper if you have paper and a marker at your house. Or I can put up a few water bottle designs and we could do it on the computer. What do you guys think is better? Do people want to do it on the computer? Raise your hand if you want to do it on the computer. If you have markers and stuff, go for it. Go for it at your house. But design your own water bottle. All right, I'm going to turn on annotation so you can design this water bottle. Maybe I'll just get a blank slide and you guys can design on that. Let's see. Let me put in another slide. So you want to design a water bottle? I'm making you some room right now. Okay. All right, so go for it. Use annotation and design your water bottle. And maybe you have your own water bottle. If you have your own water bottle, bring it over. I want to see it on camera. If you have a reusable water bottle, go get it because I want to see it. I have the kind called Nalgene. That's my kind of water bottle. Oh, and Gloriana, your household has switched to metal straws. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, Alex, what'd you like to say? Yep. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's too hard to hear you. And you can add text to your water bottle. There's text box too. Oh, Alana's drawing on mine. It's cool, Alana. You could draw on mine too. Can't believe this. Calvin wants to talk. Yeah, Calvin, let me unmute you. Where are you? Go ahead, Calvin. Okay, everybody that lives in that house, I can't unmute you anymore because your camera always does that. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, Santiago, what's up? Are you upside down? All right, we got some cool designs going on. You know, I think I'll send this out to you guys so you can do this later too. But, you know, take some time, create your own water bottle later, and And yeah, if you make it fun and pretty, then you want to use it more often, right? Oh, Santiago's got his water bottle. Let me see. Let me see. You're upside down. Do you know that though? Show us your water bottle, Santiago. Oh, there you go. Now you're right side up. Yalia's got a plastic water bottle, but you can reuse that. And Santiago's got a really nice, oh, sweet. That looks like it keeps stuff cold too. That's nice. Insulated. Good choice. Good choice. I like putting stickers on my water bottles. All my water bottles have stickers all over them. All right. So sometimes it's hard to avoid buying something plastic, like this jar of peanut butter. But that's why we do the 3R's. Who knows one of the 3R's? Write it in the chat if you know any of the 3R's. You can write it in the chat. All right, Floriana's got number 1, reuse. So first thing you'd want to do if you need this peanut butter, you can't avoid buying this peanut butter, is you want to reuse the container later. So maybe you reuse this container and you fill it up with your homemade pasta sauce that you just made. Or maybe you reuse it by putting all your pens in it, right? So reuse it. The next one is, oh, Alex got it, all of them. Well, Alex got, oh, where did my chat go? Sorry, guys. Okay, Alex got reduce, reuse, recycle. Awesome, yeah. And yep, recycle like that, perfect. So reduce is your first step, right? Try to use less plastic. Second step, if you can't avoid buying it, reuse it, reuse the bottle. And then the third step, if you can't reuse it anymore, there's no way for you to reuse it. That's lovely, Yulia, thank you. Is to recycle it. So yeah, awesome. Good job, guys. Reuse, reduce, recycle. Sweet. All right, and we've got one more video, and then I think we're done for today. And I actually haven't seen this one, so we'll see how it goes.
Good job, Moby. We're doing our part to care for the environment. What is waste? Waste is anything you throw out and can't reuse. One person can throw away over 1,000 pounds of trash a year. Together, we make tons of waste. A lot of trash winds up in our landfills. Waste is biodegradable, which means it breaks down in our environment naturally. A lot of waste is not biodegradable. It can cause a lot of problems and harm the soil, water, and air. But there's a lot we can do to help our environment. How can we reduce waste? When you reduce, you cut down or make something smaller. We can reduce by using less stuff and using only what we need. You can reduce how much water you use by turning the faucet off when you're not using it. Natural resource is something of value we get from the environment. Water, plants, animals, and soil are all natural resources. It's important to conserve or save our natural resources. Since natural resources power many of our homes and cars, we should reduce the amount of energy we use. We can turn off the lights when we don't need them. We can reduce the energy we use to cool our homes, and we can save energy by turning down the heater a little. We can also reduce waste by reusing items. How do we reuse? When you reuse something, you use it again and again. Items that you only use once are disposable and cause a lot of waste. It's much better to use items that you can use over and over again. Plastic bags can take hundreds of years to break down. We can use reusable bags instead. Instead of throwing away broken toys, you can fix them. You can also give away toys, books, furniture, and clothing you don't want anymore. Then they can be reused by other people. How do we recycle? When you recycle, you use materials from old items to make new items. You can recycle things like plastic bottles, cans, glass, paper, and even batteries. Aluminum cans and bottles can be recycled to make new cans and bottles. Steel can be recycled and used to make steel for buildings. Parts from old electronic equipment can be used to make new electronic equipment. The plastic from plastic bottles can be turned into rugs, shoes, clothing, and even playground equipment. Recycling
All right, guys, we only have 4 minutes left. So if you want to finish that video, I'm going to send you the link in the chat so that you have it, because there is a little bit left. But let's just finish our talk. Okay, reusing water bottles. It's not just about putting pens in it. It also can be very, very pretty. You can make a bird feeder like this. I think that's full of water with sugar in it. So you might have hummingbirds and things like that. You can make things to plant plants in. You can use the tops of water bottles. These are all water bottle caps to make a collage. And you can use them to organize all that stuff. You could put snacks in them. You can keep reusing them. One thing we're doing with some of our our plastic containers is we are filling them with water and then putting them outside with a little hole in them, like a little, I'll show you guys next week. It's hard to explain. But basically, we put it outside at night. It freezes completely. You take the entire, 1 second, Alex. You take the entire ice block out, and then we decorate our lawn with them by putting in like little lights. So it ends up really pretty. It's really cute. We're making an igloo next week too. I'm so excited. I'll show you guys a picture when we're done. But Alex designed an awesome water bottle. Let's see, what does it say? It's I can't really read it. Can you bring it a little closer? It says cute cats. Very nice water bottle, your cute cat water bottle. Awesome. We have one more slide, guys, and then I'll call on you, Jadalise and Yulia. Okay, one more slide and then we're done, okay? And then for gardening, so in the spring, for sure, we are going to do at least one episode of Zooming to Nature about gardening and different plants you can do. And also, if we can figure it out, I will actually, my nonprofit will send you some gardening materials in the mail to your house so you can plant like a snap pea plant, and you'll get that stuff in the mail. In fact, I have a few things to send you guys in the mail. So we'll try to work that out so that you can get some of that stuff to your house. But definitely good for gardening. You can plant stuff in it. You can make a watering can out of it, and you can get some amazing plants going on like I have right here. All right, so that is everything on water bottles, how water gets to your house, and reusing, reducing, and recycling for this week. So this is the end of the presentation.